Are we waiting on a few people still on your end, or is it still the same agenda from last week? I know we had a miscommunication.
Oh, you just joined.
That's on our end. You're good, Johnson. This is Inad from oopgo as well. I know you've spoken to a couple different people. We spoke on the second meeting, but this should be it on our end. So I was saying, are we still waiting on people from yours before we get started, John?
We are. It's still we're still a few minutes early.
No problem. So what happened last week? You guys just had a...
Hey, it's Steve Myers.
Hey, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Jonathan?
So yeah, Patrick, we're probably waiting for about 2 other people to join in.
Okay.
And I'm gonna put on mute since I'm at the beach for South Beach Green Wine Festival, so it's a bit noisy here.
I am as well. Jonathan.
Nice.
I'm sitting. I just came up to the hotel room now, and I guess I'll head downstairs when the call's over.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah, it's really not too noisy on my end, to be honest. I don't hear much unless you guys somehow are muting up the volume for the festival. So, yeah, but your call.
I'm sitting in my hotel room, so yes, it's quiet here.
Okay.
All would be fine. All would be fine.
So what's going on? There's a wine festival. Is that run by you guys, or just happen to be there as a vendor or a connection?
It's enormous. It's the South Beach Green Wine Festival. I mean, it's an all-weekend event. You've got all kinds of celebrities and food celebrities, music acts. It's just it's crazy.
An excuse to have fun while at work.
About every restaurant.
Yeah, Southern is the title. They actually, I guess, partner with the Food Network on the event. So only Southern Wine and Spirits suppliers, the people who sell, whose brands we represent, only they are able to have their products represented at the event. And there's events like trade show types of events, but think about trade show in South Beach. It's a little more trendy than that, out on the beach, and then that's during the day, today, tomorrow, and Sunday. And today is for the trade, tomorrow and Sunday for the general public. And then there are different events at night.
Well, it sounds like fun. Assuming you guys are going to be paid to be there over the weekend as well, it sounds like fun. So.
Yeah, there were definitely worse tapes as far as weekend job assignments.
Yeah, definitely. Where are you guys at in South Beach exactly? Are you guys, well, I mean, South Beach, I assume you guys, South Beach refers to in Miami in particular, or is it not in that area exactly?
That's the
No,
north end of Miami Beach.
Okay. Yeah, so you guys have no humidity.
Miami Beach is border island.
Okay. Yeah, let me know on...
It's grueling, Patrick. It's grueling.
Not this time of year. When I'm not sure if that's a joke or not. When you're talking about the, I mean, we're in San Diego, so we don't have any complaints either. But I do know it significantly. We've had actually a few business associates are in Miami and South Beach area as well. And whenever they visit, they come here when it's like last month. It's probably like 70 here, and they're like, "Oh, I brought my coat. It's freezing to Miami." I'm just kind of like, "Shut up." Yeah, we're not allowed to make those kind of statements in the winter that it's cold when it's 70. So.
Yeah, I live in San Francisco, so this is warm weather for me from what I've been dealing with.
Yeah, definitely. So
I was in Miami last week, and I took the San Francisco weather back east with me. So when we were there,
is that like, Bollywood?
Yeah, it's Bollywood. Bollywood.
Is Zila on the phone too? Is Zila on the call?
I don't think she is.
Yeah, she hasn't. Well, it doesn't look like she's in there yet. Now I don't want to know what else you took back with you.
So who are we waiting for? We're waiting for Zila?
Yeah, it looks like I see having logged in.
Yeah, Carlos is stuck in meetings, but that's okay because we've got Nitin and Steve here, who are the really two people that count the most.
No problem. Yeah, so you just let me know on your end when you're ready to get started. You're saying you want to go ahead without waiting for anyone else, or?
I'm good to start if everybody else is.
Yeah, you guys can probably get going.
All right, great. So is Bax?
Can you just send Sheila a text to jump on?
Yeah, I'll send her a note.
Thanks.
So Jonathan, are we basically just doing or I forgot if Jonathan's muted. Are we basically at square one on this end? You guys want the same introduction and conversation we had as a stepping stone, or do you guys want to look at particular functionality or dig deeper on a couple things that Jonathan's already shared?
Unfortunately, I don't want to take up anybody else's time. I haven't seen any of it yet, so.
Okay. All right, that's easy. That makes things a lot easier on our end, so I can just walk right through. So.
Patrick, show the basic stuff and also show the analytical capabilities that you showed me on the second meeting. That stuff was really, really awesome. So I would say just like a brief overview of what you showed me the first time around, and then show the analytical stuff from the second time around.
Yeah, definitely. Would you guys mind giving me your key domain? I know you guys had mentioned quite a few different sites you're using before, just to use as a reference point. I guess Southern, you'd mentioned a couple websites of interest on top of your homepage. It's the most relevant one to use an example.
Yep. You mean like southernwine.com or southernwineonline.com?
Yeah, whatever. I forgot. One of those two was of more importance to you. Which one was it? Was it southernwineonline.com or Southern Wine?
Yeah. Southernwineonline.com is our B2B site, which is probably better.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking that one too. And the only thing is, I don't know. Do you have a login that you can a dummy login you can give them?
I do.
Okay. Otherwise, we won't be able to get very far.
Yeah. All right. So this is this is a back end. Yeah, as you say, it looks. It's probably easier for me to go pretty generic in that case. I was going to use as an overview example. So we can always go to that at the end of the conversation once we have particular challenges or questions. So on that note, I'm just gonna jump right in, assuming you guys are ready now. So to preface our last couple of talks, we spoke to Jonathan twice. Once we had our head of sales speak to him over the phone, introducing assets and capabilities. We had a follow-up meeting showing him what we actually do from behind the scenes. To now get to the introduction on that point, oopgo is a digital marketing intelligence company, and we have a advanced analytics and visual recreation solution. And I'm going to explain it in pretty common sense here, and then show you guys a few examples of what that looks like from a micro view, kind of what makes us special. Then take a step back and show you from the starting point of how you actually use the analysis. So it's just about a 15-minute capabilities overview. Feel free to interrupt me at any time. Okay, so if you can remind me, actually, what are you guys currently using for analytics? I don't have in front of me. Was Google your primary vendor, or are you guys using a few different solutions?
We used to have Web Trends, and then after that, right now it's not anything that huge. We have like internal reporting for SWO, and for this mainly like Google Analytics for the homepage. Nothing really spectacular, more like just visits, and beyond that, there's not much there. Okay, but I assume you are you personally, I'm assuming this is, but you are personally familiar with Web Trends and more, you understand the differentiators and between, the different level solutions. That was the main point, so. Okay, so on that note, the main way that we differentiate, I guess, from either of those solutions as a starting point is we invented the first technology from first off, you guys see your screen, you see southernwineonline.com, right? Yeah. Okay. So how we differentiate ourselves from a data perspective is we're storing about 1,000 times as much information as Google or Web Trends or any traditional analytics solution, because traditionally analytics, you have a basic log let's say I'm on your home page and I go to a different page. You guys have a record created that says this user went to this page at this time. What our solution is doing is if you have people moving on your site for 5 seconds, let's say in the corner, we're storing different data points for each different mouse movement. If you have someone typing into your login form, my name is Bob, deleting and writing Robert, we're able to get the typing speed within the entry, the deletion percentage on a macro basis. If if your login form is filled 1,000 times, you're able to dig into every action you see on the screen. It's all stored separately, which supplements all of your analytics to be able to go as deep as you can possibly delve into segmentation or any particular analytic. So we're just storing a lot more information. We're not throwing it all at you, but you have that option to dig as deep as you want and use that data as efficiently as possible. So the other end of the coin there, so that's how we differ from a data standpoint. And the more our romanticized element is because we're storing every action that happens on the page, we're also able to replay everything from your customer's perspective. And everything you're going to see, this example here is if you guys were looking at a visitor coming to your site, you'd be able to click on any link of analytics and play exactly what they did as they did it. So you would click play, you would see what the customer did on this particular visit. The reason I brought up the data first is from here on, showing you the video views is to make a very important point that everything you see on the videos is also being stored as data. It makes a big difference because it doesn't require you to spend thousands of hours looking through and editing. It lets you be able to search through things that happen and kind of use the videos just for deeper analysis or, to discover pain points that you can later dig in a much more practical way over, large numbers. Any questions at this point, or is that all pretty straightforward?
Yep, makes sense.
Okay. So I had mentioned being able to do this from regardless of device or resolution. So the example I showed here was pretty straightforward. It was from a computer, a desktop computer. What I'm going to be showing you guys next, which is usually of big interest to most companies, trying to transition to digital, is how deep we go into a mobile session. Because one of the biggest problems these days when it comes to analytics is data is if you're comparing a visit that came from a mobile phone who has about a 0.01 attention span, people are doing 10 things at once, and they're engaging your site a lot differently than they would from a computer. The numbers aren't going to match up when it comes down to what your objectives are. So what you're going to see here is when someone visits your website from a mobile phone, you're going to be using fingers to engage directly. You're going to scroll with one finger in a lot of cases, then you're going to use the other to navigate. So what you're going to see here, this is a proprietary technology, I'll say in advance. We are the first company to be able to detect and replay this, is what it looks like from mobile when someone navigates your site. So yeah, the only takeaway there was, of course, we're going to reflect, the orientation flips, we're going to reflect finger movements, and all of those things are being stored as data too. If you guys want to dig and create an analytic that says for mobile visits, how long are people struggling going up and down with their fingers? How often are they flipping their computer or flipping their device during a visit? For tablets or mobile, all of these things are being stored. And of course, like all of our technology, you can click play on an individual visit and always see exactly what it looked like.
And how are these data points being stored? Like if we want to run a report off of them, like how many people clicked on the, let's say, order template button for us? How would we determine that?
Well, the simple way to do that is, as our system as a whole, we do have defaults. We have default analytics that are kind of out of the box, but you can create any individual metric yourself and create it as a tag or an individual analytic. So as an example, like you said, any key point like that, you would create that as a metric within our system, and it would be available globally within the reporting dashboard, within the traditional analytics, and within a few other sections. So that's kind of the default with our technology, is just letting people choose what their KPIs are in each case, and then, regardless of how deep or detailed those are, you can use those throughout the system. So
And how does that look? Like, I mean, is it a report that we run, like after everything's set up? Is it some kind of report that shows all these different points, or is it some kind of graph that shows all these different points?
I think it'd be easiest for me. I mean, I was going to jump right to kind of showing you, the general transgression. So, yeah, if you interrupt me at any time once we, it's probably best for me to spend a couple minutes kind of answering that question directly. So, and if you guys can remember, I might as well show you. I forgot whether or not your company had mentioned the need to use multiple domains, or if you guys have multiple subdomains. But I guess as a step one here, we have an agency set up and a multiple website set up where you can go back and forth from each particular website in your dashboard. This is the starting point, assuming I just logged in. This is a website application. I'm going to log into my dashboard. Give you guys a heads up too that this stupid GoToMeeting makes us about 4 times as slow as normal. So we'll give it a.
Hey, Nitin and Jonathan, if Jonathan, if you're able to come up with me for a second, it actually is an interesting point. Are there any plans to try and streamline the entry points for our different sites, depending on who we are? It is right now, I imagine, somewhat confusing between Southern Wine Online and SouthernWine.com.
You guys want to, yeah, I was holding it back. You guys want to have that conversation? We can.
I don't know. Well, I'm curious if there's been any discussion around there, Jonathan.
Yeah, everything would be based on logon. So whether you're whether you're internal or external, you would have a specific logon, and then that would determine where you are and what your capabilities are. Yep. So the answer to your question is yes, eventually. So Southern Wine Online would be a subset of SouthernWine.com, and it would all be predicated on logon.
Perfect, and that makes sense. That's kind of where I was going. I got it. Yep, good.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So yeah, on our note, here's the default dashboard. As I mentioned, we have 6 statistics by default showing here, kind of what the norm is for websites. You can customize these to any metric you would want to personally define to show as your starting point. You can play with them in quite a few ways on the front end. And big difference now for normal scenario is I'm just going to take a look at a particular segment on our website. So normally I have the normal analytics you'd see. I'm going to dig a bit deeper into a particular segment. So in this case, we're taking a look at, I believe this is pages that came from google.com to a website. So in this example here, we have 57 different entries that arrived from Google to, and I guess I'm using my website here, to our website. So what's the takeaways here are, number one, we're creating, other than the macro view you saw, we're creating an individual data record for each of these page visits to the site. We're supplementing it with the information by default we think is of highest value, but these can all be customized because everything's done from one data source, everything I'm going to be showing you. So if you guys want to see pay-per-click details, you want to see different kind of, you want to see which company one of your visitors coming from, you can customize these whole dashboards. We just kind of have a default for how it's laid out. So another takeaway here that's differentiated on our end is by default this is saying the number of pages. If you click on session view, I don't know from who's on the phone, are you guys familiar with the difference between page versus session versus I guess the norms of those definitions?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, the point being there is if you had 5 different customers who had 10 different sessions and 50 different page views, once you choose a particular segment, you can go back and forth and only see a record created either for each customer, for each session, or each page view. So just a little bit of differentiator, because if you're looking at usability, you want to go page by page. If you want to look at the value of each customer, you go to customer view, and it's just something that makes life a little bit easier usability-wise. So from here, I can click the play button. It's going to show exactly as my demo. It's going to show what happened on this individual visit, play right through. What's the differentiator here from what I showed you earlier is if I click View Details from any of these views, I'm going to pull up my fake example because I want a guy with a bit more history. So if you click View Details, this individual view, this is the complete customer history of this particular visitor, and it's all relayed from one view. So I'm going to open up my fake screen now that you get where that came from. So in this case, if someone had visited your site 85 times total, you're going to have their history playable from the main screen. You know, you can play, you can pause, you can make this playback go faster or slower as you're watching. Underneath here, you have each different page within a session. So in this case, what is it, 3 different sessions. You can go back and forth from each page view, and you also kind of get a panoramic view of what happened because we're capturing screenshots of everything that happens on your site because a lot of times it's easier to see what happens by using visual than really long, ugly-looking links. So on top here,
can I ask what might be a really stupid question, but
please ask. Yeah.
So do you have an example of a customer or client of yours that is using this extensively and you know, in a productive way? I guess, you know, for me, I know that there's a ton of value in the data, and Nitin and Jonathan, maybe you, you know, have better ideas of what to do with it. I'm not sure. So if we have all this data, you know, I try to figure out. So what are the best things to do with it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll get straight to the point in that regard then. You know, we can absolutely send you multiple case studies on that end. I'll take a couple. To finish my point here was you have the history link from the same screen. So I'm going to cut straight to the usual practical uses in that case. So now you guys understand kind of what's being stored. You understand the basic transgression and usability. I'll show you the practical. So the practical use cases using any of this kind of information is to understand identification of struggle or pain points on your customer's end. Identification through being able to watch what happens in a more concise way than just look through data. To say, for instance, we figured out that our site...
Let me interrupt you real quick, Patrick, just to kind of augment your point for Steve. Is that, Steve, remember what we said just a few minutes earlier, that if Southern Wine Online is predicated on logon, internal or external, then you can then understand exactly how the user is using whatever capabilities you have on the website. So if it's a salesperson using a custom product catalog and maybe some sort of a route guide to pre-plan and meet any kind of reporting structure for the routes, that's one way to observe exactly how they're going through and how they're using the technology to be successful, whether they're doing it or not. Conversely, with the customer as well, to see exactly how successful your designs are for e-commerce.
Got it. No, that's helpful. And I think back to Nitin, you know, the days of the old Sales Tools website when you were using web trends. At least we knew from our own internal people, we knew what pages people were using and, you know, the areas, I guess, of the site that were most valuable.
Yeah.
Okay, so on that note, is your question then, Steve, for me to demonstrate our similar modules in that case? Or are you asking, is it clear, I suppose, the big takeaway here, I'll show you a couple examples, is anything you were able to do with any other technology, we can get a couple levels deeper. That's the long story short takeaway here. We have quite a few modules in here. I'll demonstrate a couple examples of high value. But anything you were able to do, if you ask me, can we look at, once we identify a pain point, can we look at all the other trends and examples for those customers? The answer to all these questions on our end is going to be yes, because we have all of this data stored and we have it all strategically linked to go from these different views. So that's the main takeaway. But a couple examples here. I forgot, Jonathan, are you guys usually use conversion funnels? Is that something you guys have used in the past, or is a high value usage of your analytics currently? Hello?
What was the question?
Conversion funnels. Is that something you guys are actively using? Are you familiar? I'm sorry about that. Are you guys not familiar with that term?
Well, I mean, I'm familiar with conversion, but it's, I mean, for Southern, it's like we already have established customer base, and there's no real mechanism to convert that user from like just logging on to becoming a buyer. I mean, we're using pretty much like standard stuff like printed materials, you know, URLs on invoices, so there's no real way to tell how to do that.
Okay. Okay, so I guess in that example for a conversion funnel, if you're more concerned with the experience of current customers and making sure they're able to navigate your site accurately, if you were to bring up a scenario such as going from my homepage to filling out an invoice or even contacting us, and you wanted to take a look at how many scenarios of people out of, regardless of the number, were leaving your site after filling out the first two steps of even just, filling out an invoice. How many people are going to my site, going to an invoice, and then for some reason leaving the site? The big difference here with the usage of our tools is you would be able to dig individually from the funnel, look at those people who you don't figure out why they're not doing what you want, and you're able to link them directly to our deeper view. And the reason I brought up this point is for this example here is what a lot of our clients and ourselves internally as well determine in these cases is, in this case, we have a lot of marketing people who usually look at data and say, okay, this is 5% of people aren't doing what we want. Let's go back to the drawing board and try to figure out what happened. We're able to go directly to that view, which in a lot of cases answers the question, and we figure out there's a different reason behind that problem. So in this case, we had a web-based error, so our technicians tell me we have no problems, it's on your guys' end. We've already ran the reports. We go back and we see proof on that end. So that's the best use as a whole. We do this from quite a few different modules, is to be able to understand, and whether you're looking at a conversion or whether you're looking at patterns of where people are clicking on your page, being able to see the answers to why isn't this person doing what I want.
And I'm thinking in practical terms on our side, for example, if we, start having, some of the Southern One online sites use closeouts. They attract people to the site using closeouts, are we able to, to figure out exactly how many customers we have, or just cherry picking, that's all they're doing is looking at the closeout page and, and not buying anything else from us, things like that.
I'm sorry, I wasn't clear. Was that a question to me, or was that an internal question? I wasn't sure.
No, it was more of a comment. I guess it makes me think about some of the application for it to say, if we have people who are only going to certain sections, maybe it's, only sort of shopping on the closeout page, or maybe it's, we have somebody who's comfortable shopping for spirits on there, buying the brands that they want, but they only buy the same brands over and over again. They never look at the innovation or the wine or something like that. Then at least we're able to see that.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's, the difficulty on our end is we always start out by showing capabilities, but all of these capabilities all need to be synced to whatever your company's goals and your, key point indicators of success are. So I'm going to show this last module, maybe answer some questions of practical use. Then I'm going to run you guys through a very quick case study on our end that I believe I showed you before. You took interest, Jonathan, in some of the customized statistics we came up with to solve a problem in the past. So. What I'm showing you here is a main, what this is a different view to basically create a tag or a segment for any customer. So if you wanted to, for instance, in this case, determine a high-value customer, and let's call them high-value customer. In your case, you would choose a color within our tagging system. If you chose purple, the reason we do all this color-coded is from these other views, you're going to see these colors. They're going to be added as filters, and that's also going to be added from our other views. We saw the other complete customer history. You'll be able to see immediately this is a high-value customer. You create a blue tag that said made 5 purchases or filled out invoice. You'll be able to see all this information in a simple way as opposed to just having long explanations and data. So that's why we use this color coding system. It makes life simple for us. So from here, if we were to define what determines a high-value customer, once again, the main key point here is we can dig much deeper in this definition. We can go into someone who tried logging in 3 times and had errors on the 4th try. Let's create this example. We can go as deep as you guys want, but it can also be used in a simple way. So in this case, people who visit our site between 3 and 5 times. We have a system built in here. It's called a visitor value index, where you could give the value of a high-value customer as 10. If I give this customer a value of 10, it means that from my other dashboards and modules, under lifetime value, I can search for my most valuable customers. So for retail clients on ours, they'll define that by how many sales they purchased in the past. And they'll be able to search through and say, this person made this many sales in the past, and we noticed that customers from China purchase at a higher percentage than U.S., so I'm going to create another tag and make a customer more valuable if they arrive from China. So I'm not going to be able to come up with great examples for your guys off the top of our head, but that's the practical use case of using the system to both have your own searches and to have quick ways of analyzing, what target market should we target? Should we advertise in this region? Because we've noticed that more results happen when have people come from Florida or China or Canada who've done these kind of, who've made different decisions in the past. So this is our main system. You would create this tag here. Once the tag is created, you have all of them listed to understand, understand how each different customer label is defined. And from here, if you also wanted to, your company wanted to say, everyone who's a purple color customer, I want this pop-up to be sent to them. I want any kind of action to load while they're on the page. We're also able to sync anything imaginable in that regard. So if you want to add a trigger that says send an email to the blue people or the red people or the green people, all this is built-in capabilities. I'm going to do a real quick.
When you're assigning values, I saw you just tag somebody kind of manually. Are you able to create criteria to say, customers who spent this much money in this time period and bought, either these items or within these categories or whatever, those are the people that fall into this group? I'm assuming the answer is yes.
Yeah, what I showed wasn't in manual. We allow manual tagging as well. Manual tagging would be from this year. So what I did is I created a rule. Just so you know, that rule does go back.
That's a rule.
Yeah, it's a rule. So it does go back in time as well. It's not only from when it's created. So if you create a rule, if you use our system for a year and you want to create rules, it's going to tag everyone for the last year. So automatically you can go back in time and delete these for practical use. So I'll tell you a differentiator from, I believe, Web Trends. I know our other main competitors. A usual shortcut that people use in the tagging system is, if we allow you to make a tag that says people who visited between 2 and 5 times, once someone has visited 6 times on your site, it does not dynamically untag them because it's a big pain, on the resource end to go back and recheck everyone. Our module does. So everything is dynamically updated. It's real time. So if you have, it's not going to be a big mess to have people over-labeled to say this person got labeled as high value, now he's higher value, now he's higher value. It's all intuitive on your end to not have a lot of clutter. So. What I was showing you, you guys have had a couple questions of reporting. This is a traditional reporting dashboard view. We have a few different graphs and charts you guys can choose. We have default metrics chosen where if you want to ever add a metric, you guys want to compare mobile to your traffic sources, it creates different charts that you're able to compare side by side. And you're able to email these throughout your organization and export them in a few different formats. So if you want to email this to whoever in your organization, we can also set up different levels of user authorization. So if you guys have, certain divisions who you want more access to this kind of information, all those things are all not an issue on our end. So the last detail I was going to show you guys from here, which I believe we left up last time, Jonathan, was a particular use case of high-value analytics created to solve a problem. So you guys have any questions before I show this last example? I'm sorry, I'm running pretty fast there through these. So.
No, I'm good.
You're good. Okay. I'm just going to give you a scenario here. So we do sign NDAs. We can send you a couple of case studies and cases, but we don't give out our client information. Our next step, if we were to move forward with you guys, would be sending an NDA because we're storing so much information. We have a different asset that it's just not a good practice based on a lot of who our clients are from a secrecy standpoint. So this example here I'm going to be showing you is a real-life scenario, but what we've done is create our own fake sites to demonstrate them, just to let you guys know. So in this case here, we have a bank who told us, yeah, I understand how easy this can apply to retail, but our primary objective is to upsell current clients. Our primary form is a contact form. People are giving us their information, they're filling out their financial goals, and they're telling us what their current investable assets. So the two challenges they gave us to test our system before implementation was give me more insight to have a higher conversion rate of, being able to close these clients before we have them. The second scenario they said is once we have people as clients, we want to only upsell people who have a better chance of us closing. How can you make that information more clear for us? So what we did in this case was, because we're storing everything that happens, even if someone doesn't click submit, that's the big differentiator here is usually Google, any mainstream site, a keyword gets created after someone submits it. We're storing all the information even if someone abandons your site. So all the decisions and choices made, if someone says, I hate your company, deletes it, then has the normal message, you're able to set up a filter and say how many people said they hate us. I'm not going to bring up some derogatory things other companies look for here, but it lets you know the hand of your customers deeper. So what we did here was we came up with this customized dashboard where, we just used what we store in a practical way. I'll show what it looks like in a view. And we determined for them that if someone is making 3 different choices before filling out a form, we're going to label that as their confidence level, because you want your clients to be more confident. Even if you're not selling anything, you're confident to understand that their decisions are going to be more clear. Whether on you guys' end, you're just asking them, what is your goal, what is your objective? This case was a way that we were able to look at the different decisions and give confidence level, as well as give things such as total time to fill out the form, how many customers fill it out without going back and correcting it, and of course the amount of clients you have that enter the form, fill out data, and then leave. And in this case, we actually defined it as we only want to consider them abandoned if they spend over 10 seconds here. We don't want someone who accidentally was playing around on the site. So these are all things on the customizable end. So we gave them firm numbers to go after to understand the improvement to fix their process as a whole. The second end of that coin is when it came down to knowing once someone submits this information, how do we know they're a better upsell target? What we came up with was if someone chooses a higher number, if I say my investable assets are 500K, then I switch to 100K, then I click submit. We label these clients as better upsell target because common sense wise, if I'm at a store or if I'm at a restaurant and I order a burger for $20, then last second I order a salad for $10, there's a pretty good chance I have $20 in my pocket. So that was the rationale here, using kind of common sense with this extra storage, where we labeled these customers as high upsell targets, and their conversions almost tripled on the upsell targets they were going after. Because, obviously if they weren't sure which one of these to select, it means they're right around the range. You could probably push them to the next level. So did that make sense to you guys, or was that completely on a different world from something that would relate to you guys?
That made sense. Do you have anything like a sample of a customer who's customized these reports like pretty comprehensively, like done pretty much everything you can with the dashboard?
Yeah, well, I mean, I could give you. We have a couple of case studies. It's not going to give you example to their dashboard, but it's going to give you the results. How they applied in a common sense way, what their objectives were, what we created for them, and what the result was. So.
And how many customers do you have using this actively?
Using it actively right now.
And what is the size of these? Yeah, and the size of the customers as well.
I'll tell you that almost all of our customers are enterprises. Most of our customers are people who are using Omniture, Web Trends, or Core Metrics, and our usual scenario is someone using a product that they've been using for a while. They'll implement our product as a pilot for 3 to 6 months. We'll show them at the end of that time the different statistics that we were able to measure and how it could add value before they go through with a complete implementation. So I'll tell you, I mean, our larger clients are billions of hits a month. I mean, the who's who when it comes down to size. We really don't have any low traffic clients for the most part. And numbers-wise, I think we're right around 50. We're a fairly new company with all of this technology. We've been out for 1.5 years, so our main scenario is I understand what you can do differently. Now we need to trust that you can handle our load. Then once we establish that we can handle a load, that's when we're able to move on. So I missed the names of like some of the bigger ones that you're already working with. You're not going to get any. We sign NDAs with all of our clients except for a couple that we make. If we make a case study with you guys, we would go back and take it away. But we do competitive intelligence as well. I don't know if we were going to get into that today, but we provide other assets, and a lot of our clients have sensitive information, so we don't give any of that out. So.
One other question I have is outside of the transactional data that comes through, say, Southern Wine Online, once we would start working with you, are you able to pull in data from outside sources that we have, whether it's, predictive stuff to say if they bought this, we want to recommend this, that kind of stuff?
Outside, if you want to integrate, when you talk about outside sources, if you happen to highlight a particular module, we do a lot of integration with feeds or a way that you're internally choosing demographics, let's say. If you want to use a third-party source that you like how they define demographics, we can integrate with just about anything. But by default, I'm not sure. Is that the base question, if it would be an integration based off a selection you made, or if that's built in with our own sources?
Well, and Nitin, chime in because this is more your area of expertise, but I think about all the work you've done with the product classification and thinking, how can we potentially tie that in to use, to use predictively for customers?
Yeah, it's case by case. The tagging system for me is really the way it allows a lot of discovery. When you can attach a value to each action on your site, then you can correlate results to your estimated values, to predict. Once again, we give examples of people from China who came and visited your site a minute and a half. Let's look at the result that they had in this case. Once you come up with those trends, that's the in-house way to do it, but the other way we do that would just be syncing to any outside feed. Or a lot of companies, I'll tell you almost everyone we work with will want to integrate with a CRM, some kind of tool, so they're able to show their customers' names and information throughout all these modules if they already have it. But I'm not sure that applies in your guys' case. I don't know if you guys have any login system or past clients once they have a login account. So on that note, yeah, this last view I hadn't mentioned was an example, and so I didn't finish the analogy of the view I showed you here is macro basis. This was over a lot of visits to give them their broad data to come up with answers. I also had in this example what people actually filled in, whether when they were abandoned, they were labeled abandoned. When they filled out a form, they would be labeled as submitted. So this is a basic view where they kind of wanted to, get to the point with these, didn't want to look through all their sessions, just wanted to look at this particular transaction. And in these cases, we have it built into a different, a different tab within our system. So we don't need to redo things. We don't need to get them out to a different view. We just add it directly within the same modules. So that's usually what our step one would be for a company, especially with a pilot, would be to have you guys say, here's the high value aspect of our site, show us what we can do, and show me the stats that you think would add value. So. Any other questions on your guys' end?
Not for me.
Let me ask you guys, I'm pretty sure, Jonathan, when you had spoken with James, I believe you'd spoken with James and Nate within our organization, had they delved at all into our competitive intelligence, basically how we detect what's happening on the internet? Did you guys have that discussion at all, or was it pure analytics based? Okay, I'm going to assume Jonathan's not with us or muted in that case. So.
No, I just jumped back on. My phone kicked out on me. Sorry about that.
No problem. Did you hear my question, Jonathan?
No. What was your question?
Have you already been introduced? I don't know. This is a real quick introduction on our, but to our competitive intelligence. Our, we have the largest search engine on the internet that lets you know what your competitors are doing as well. Was any of that introduced on your end, or only analytics?
Is that what was the question? Is that what, or analytics?
Have you been introduced to the competitive intelligence aspect of our system by James or Nate?
Yes, I think it's really cool.
Okay, do you mind if I give a 5-minute overview to wrap up as well? I don't know since we're going through an interview.
I'm cool, and I would love it if Steve and Nitin saw it. I think it's a really cool feature.
Yeah, I'll stay on.
All right, great. So, yeah, I know I believe we're scheduled usually half an hour on these. So aside from all these analytics, we have a different module we call digital competitive intelligence. The long story short of it is that Google, Bing, all of the mainstream indexes, the liability is on each website to get listed in them. So if you, create xyz.com tomorrow that doesn't exist, it might take you 3 weeks, it might take you 4 weeks to get listed in Google, depending on, your linking strategies, et cetera. So what we did is the last 6 years, our company we had a goal of being able to be the first company who has one index of every website on the internet. We achieved this about 1.5 years ago, and we have approximately 180 million different websites in one database, and we use these to come up with relevant algorithms for companies to understand how their competitors are having success based on social media trends, sales and marketing trends, as well as technologies used. So I'm going to show you guys one quick example of what a deliverable usually looks like on that end. If you guys can see this screen, go ahead.
That's a pretty cool feature, but I mean, that actually sounds kind of different than what I've seen or heard of other companies doing. But aside from that, what do you think are the advantages of your company over something like Omniture?
Are you referring to Omniture's analytics? This competitive intelligence is a completely outside. You want me to go back to the analytics in that respect, then?
No. I was just wondering in terms of competitive analysis. Like I said, I mean, that's a great feature. I haven't heard of it before, which is very nice. But I was thinking on the analytics side, is there any huge benefit of your platform over Omniture, like something that you have that they don't?
Well, yeah, other than storing 1,000 times as much data. Omniture does all these, when I talk about these 1,000 times the details we do, Omniture is not storing any of that information. They're not storing the videos. They don't have heat maps used based on movement. When it comes to competitive intelligence, as far as I know, they're not doing anything in this realm. The way we use this to enhance analytics is you see if your competitors are using an Omniture, you see if they're using different technologies, page load speeds, and say, hey, we need to get with the system or we need to check out this technology. Then you can apply that to see how much it improves your analytics.
How would you know if it's like if it's a B2B website? Like if someone logs into it, how would you know anything inside of it? You would only know if they go to the site, right?
Are you, once again, we're talking about within the competitive intelligence, what you know about
Yeah.
Well, what you know now,
for like competitive intelligence, like if there's somebody, let's say one of our competitors, they have a B2B website, we have a B2B website, how would you compare? Because, I mean, they have other features behind user IDs and stuff. How would you get into know what customers have done on their end?
well, you wouldn't. It's, it's not, you can get everything that you can get from a public source code, basically. I don't know how well you guys know that. Anything from a public source code is the information stored. It's not going to be exact. We have no way to actually install analytics. So we like to say, from our testing, it's about 85% accurate when it comes down to traffic estimates. And for the most part, it's not within, social media, sales headlines, usually analytics are all included within the source code on your website's public domain. Anything on the security level, we're not doing any kind of hacking, so we're not going to get all the information. So it gives you a starting point. The point is to automated awareness into this, It's going to be pretty close. If you see a customer's traffic went up 40% last month and you saw they had 10 million more Facebook views or Facebook likes, common sense, it probably means there's a correlation there. Your company has automated awareness to take a closer look at that campaign, So that's a great question because it's not perfect. Of course, we can't, we're not hacking into everyone's website and getting their customer information. So
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Just to finish, I think it might clarify if I walk through this example. So just in this case, if you were to highlight 3 competitors, and once again, every week or month, your choice, we would be getting their traffic rank and differences, and we'd be getting such as, I forget what the LinkedIn and Twitters are called, these tweets and whatever LinkedIn's called, but whatever the social media is, you'd be able to see this benchmarked on the same chart. You'd also be able to see sales headline changes. By default, we would determine that in one way, but if you guys wanted to define that a different way, such as our sales headline is within our header tag, I want you to track their header tag instead of their title tag. We're able to customize all this because we're storing all the source code.
So is this part of your basic package? Like if we get a basic package, is this included or would this be separate?
Usually it's included by default, but customization hourly. All of these cases, when you define your KPIs on our competitive intelligence end, there's an hourly charge if you don't want what's out of the box, basically. So.
Okay.
So we have, and to conclude this little, I know you guys probably have more questions, but to conclude this example here, I brought up the competitor identification. If you guys, usually a company will want to look at their 3 competitors, then they'll want to look at their industry with a broader scope. Such as if you guys defined your industry as every site on the internet who uses the word wine and has been out for 2 years, if that's 50,000 websites, we would be able to monitor all of them actively and get broader trends that you define, such as what's their average page load speed, what's the technologies that have been increased in usage over the last month, any of those general questions and answers. That's usually the 2 things that companies will want to look at, is industry in a broad way as well as key or emerging competitors in a more detailed way. So that's the application of the technology. And that's all listed underneath here. Within the same module, you would go to, I think I always bring this example. So here I just did a search, every website on the internet using these 4 words. I'm going to choose one. I add it to my dashboard. From there, I would be able to compare against other websites. And that's kind of, the simplicity, I guess, out of the box. But the difference is if you guys want to go really deep into customized algorithms, such as I wanted to find this in this or that way, that's where we would have some build up front on an hourly basis. So. I'm going to take a pretty hard stop at this point. I've already went a bit over and say, you guys have other questions other than, I'm sure, pricing and next step on our end? Anything about the system itself?
No, I don't. I mean, it looks pretty cool.
I'm good.
Okay. Remind me to ask a real basic question. What, Jonathan, you've mentioned this a couple of times on the calls, but where are you guys at as a stage? You had mentioned, a couple initiatives you guys were in the middle of engaging on the digital end. Would you be able to enlighten me a bit of where you guys, whether or not you're looking to open up a few sites, but multiple subdomains, or what your current objective is as a company on the digital end?
Still in design phases right now, design and planning. That's sort of where we're at. Is the more we know about what's out there, the better our design and planning will be moving forward.
Are you guys at a particular X or Y months out of finish? Do you guys have a firm completion, or are you guys kind of still testing and see where things are going about?
It's contingent on some internal processes that we're working through right now. So, and once the bureaucratic red tape gets cleared out of the way a bit, then we can go forward and start developing. So we should be close to that, but we're not quite there yet.
Okay, so for a next step on our part, what's the time frame to follow up, or would you guys be interested to discuss options such as taking a test demo to bake into what you guys are already doing while you're testing, or what would be the practical next step with where we'd leave off? Or is it something you need to wait for a particular point of time?
Not sure. We'd probably have to discuss that with our IT team, but we could possibly test it on our current websites and current web capabilities. But we're not quite at that point to make a decision on that yet. But we're close.
You're close. Would you be able to give me a ballpark, Jonathan, I don't know if we've had this discussion, what your guys' monthly page views look like, because that's to give you a accurate assessment of how the pilots work when someone's in development. That's kind of what our variable hard cost is. So your monthly unique page views, and just a ballpark.
Nitin, you would probably have that information.
No, I don't. We'd have to talk to
Albert?
My guess is, Albert would have it, or Ronnie Sato would have it. So Donna Grant is, I can ask her. I'll email her, and since she's their team lead, she might be able to provide that information.
We can get back to you on that.
You can. All right, yeah, if you can get back to me that via email, what I'm going to do on my end is just give you our quotes are dependent on variable traffic, as well as we have a 15 to 20 hour setup time usually on a website. That's billed hourly basis. And if we get those numbers, we're able to trim a few of those things off for a pilot for any company that's still in development mode. But the implementation on our end, would be between 3 and 5 weeks. So that would be my next step, is to basically send you a proposal to say, here's the least way we can get committed to move forward with you guys, and here's the option if you want to dig deeper for a complete implementation. If you guys could give me that monthly page uniques, it'd be a lot more accurate. So.
Sure, that's perfect. That'll be very helpful. I think your product's very cool. We'll talk about it afterwards. But it's definitely something that we will need moving forward in one capacity or another. So it's once budget is set, design is set, development is set, all of those pieces are set, then we'll have a better idea of where to bring you into the fold if and when we choose to do so. But like I said, love what you have developed and designed, and any insight you can give us to cost so that we can project that would be even better.
All right, great. So in that case, I'm going to send you, as a next step on my end, send you an email asking basically for the page views monthly. As soon as I get that information within 24 to 48, I should be able to give you a decent breakdown of price and any other technical details you need from a structural perspective, and also throw in a case study to kind of simplify things. So.
Perfect. That's really great.
Right. Well, it was nice talking to you guys, and have a blast this weekend. I'm pretty jealous here, and you guys got to hang out at a wine festival all weekend. That's not what my agenda looks like. So happy we're able to make the call after whatever had happened before. So any other questions you guys need on my end, please reach out to me directly. I know you've talked with a couple people in our organization, but please use me as your primary point of contact from here on, Jonathan. So.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks for your time.
Bye.